Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to the AwsAmazing Show. I think we're on six now. Hope everyone had a great Mother's Day. Let's see, what do we want to dive into today? Looks like there was a deal struck with China and the US regarding the tariff war. If you've been watching for a while, I've mentioned this that China needed to make a deal. We'll talk about that more down the road, but for now, I think I want to talk about these random sports that are popping up now. and I think some of them are pretty interesting. There's this one I saw. It's like a John Wick style like tournament. And basically it's two guys, you're in suits, and there's a weapon in the middle of the room, and you need to go and secure the weapon. Once you secure the weapon, you kind of like tap tap the other guy, and that's how you win the match. I thought that was pretty interesting, and let's watch a little bit of it, and then we can see what you guys think about it. Because I saw this morning, and I thought to myself, this is really cool. Let me see if I can share my screen. That is always the part that slows me down. All right, all right, all right. Boom, boom. Here we go. Here we go. All right, there's no sound, so. All right, let me know again. Let me know if you guys can see this. If it's black, let me know. All right. So basically, you start off and you kind of do some jujitsu, some wrestling, and you're in suits, and there's a weapon in the middle of the room, and you have to grab it and basically get the other guy. I just thought this was pretty cool. Let's watch it again real quick. So yeah, these guys are wrestling, and you do some jujitsu and whatnot, and bam, bam. And it's like they're using the old that not it's not old, but it's like I think it's the karate one, kind of like slanted octagon, slanted arena thing. Uh, did that ever take off? I don't see anyone ever talk about that. The the karate tournament thing that they tried to do to kind of combat with the UFC. Instead of having the cage, they do the mat and then the slanted walls. So I thought that was pretty cool. But and then so I saw this and it got me thinking about like other random sports that are out there, and I just like there's so I think there's so many people that just have so much time on their hands. The other thing that I saw that I thought was really crazy that I feel like we should watch is I guess wrestling is becoming a thing in Africa, and they don't have the production to build like arenas and mats and the ring, right, to do wrestling. So they've been wrestling just in straight up mud. And I don't know if this is like a big thing, but I saw this clip today and I just thought to myself, this is crazy. And let's watch a little bit of it, and we'll see what's going on. All right, boom boom. All right, so first of all, uh I want to say they're pretty equal in the genders because it's a guy wrestling a woman, all right, in mud, as you can see. It's not even wet. The crazy thing is, right, it's not even wet mud. It's like moist mud. So it's like full on dirt, basically. All right, let's watch some of this. Oh, and like I said, if you guys can see this, it's it's not even wet mud. It's moist mud. So I mean, the acting's great, but oh my god. Okay, again, moist mud. Okay, if you land, and the other thing is the floor is uneven. Okay, so if you, uh, You can get so hurt. I'm just saying. Oh my gosh. Like I'm surprised that he didn't break like some fingers there. I don't know. That's crazy. Oh, there goes your tailbone. Like I'm not watching this to see the actual moves. I'm just seeing as they hit the floor and looking how hard the floor looks and how physical they are. Like how long can you keep this up? Unless they're doing a very good job of like making it seem like it hurts more than it does. Oh my gosh. Insane. All right. That's enough of that. That's enough of that. Ah, where do I stop the sharing? Poop. All right. Sorry about that. It gets crazy. Um and so I'm like this reminds me of like when you're bored as a child. Like I remember one time, one summer, my cousin came over and we didn't have anything to do and we were probably like 5 years old. And this is the time where we were like, we need something to do. My parents are at work. This is back in the day where you guys kids would just be at home and you just take care of yourselves for hours. And then we came up with this idea. I think we came up with this idea after watching maybe Home Alone. And I don't know if you guys remember in the first Home Alone, there's a scene where he's like sliding down with a sled. And then we're like, you know what? We could do that too. That seems like fun. So what we did, but we didn't have a sled, but we had a laundry basket. So we got into the laundry basket and we tried to do that. And then it didn't go down very well because the stairs stopping the laundry basket. So we're like, okay. So we lined the whole stairway now with blankets. So now it's blankets, laundry basket. And we just slid down and that was what we did for fun. And then uh we were watching Ninja Turtles and you know how the turtles go inside their shell? And we are like, what would be a great idea if we pretend we were turtles and we rolled down the stairs. So what we did was we got oversized shirts and we could put pillows on both sides of the shirts. And then you get in there like this, and then you wrap yourselves in some blankets. And then my cousin would just push us down. And we would take turns pushing each other down the stairs. that's that's what that wrestling thing kind of reminds me of, where like someone came up with the idea that we should do wrestling in Africa, but we don't have any of the stuff. So you gotta make do what you got. So I don't know why I saw that today and I was like, that's crazy. What else? What other random sports are there that I saw that I thought was super interesting? Did you guys know that there is a thing? It's foot toe wrestling. Has anyone heard of toe wrestling? I just learned that this is a thing. And as I was saying before, like some people I feel like have so much time on their hands. Sometimes I just get into these weird like tangents of stuff. And today I found toe wrestling, right? And I just thought it was like the most random thing that you can be doing, because it's like who comes up with these random games? Like let's watch a little bit of this toe wrestling thing, because like as I said before, who comes up with these random games? Um, because someone had to sit down to come up with the rules, and we're like, it'd be fun if we wrestled with our toes. You know what I'm saying? Let's take a look at this. Okay, hope you guys can see this, but so this is a European thing because I don't know. Maybe they have that in the States as well. This is the worldwide toe wrestling. I mean, if we really want to dominate the world, we could send our best toe wrestler over there too, and dominate. But it's $2 for you to get into this. This is in 2023, so maybe with inflation, it's like $4 now. And basically, toe wrestling is looking there. First, you gotta wash your feet. Of course, that's a given. You know, you gotta wash your feet. Gotta make sure nice and clean. Okay. No cheating here in the toe wrestling. You gotta make sure there's no extra grease. All right, next. This is what the stage. I guess one guy lays down on one side of this board, the other guy lays down on the other side of this board, right? And then you lock toes. You just lock toes.
No, I got pushed once. You got taken that way.
Okay, so it's like okay, I got it now. So it's like arm wrestling with your feet.
Take away.
Oh my gosh.
Come on, push it. Come on.
Okay, very interesting. Painted toenails. The painted toenails on the guy. Okay, so first I thought that was a lady, because of the painted toenails, and it kind of looked like a lady's foot. And then they zoom out, and it's like your dad. Who pays attention to your dad's toes? That's crazy. Oh, that was intense. Wait, I wanna... Okay. Oh my god, what's going on here? They got extra sauce. That was extra saucy. Okay, some ladies. Okay, this is okay. They need to have weight classes for this, because do you see the leg of the person that she is toe wrestling with? That leg is twice of her. Oh my gosh, it's twice her size. It's twice the size of her leg.
Turns away.
Oh, I feel like this is really hard.
Turns away.
I'm just curious, is that baking powder? Like a baby powder? Oh yeah. Okay, I thought it was lotion. Oh, get him. All right. That's enough of this. That's crazy. I don't know. Like, when, where are you in your life that you find out that you're really good at toe wrestling? Like, yeah, imagine all the skills that you have, and you're like, you know what? I am gonna be a world champion toe wrestler. And then imagine having that championship displayed in your house, and then people come over, and they're like, what is toe wrestling? And then it's basically, I lay down, and we powder up, and it's like arm wrestling with their toes. That's crazy. All right, what else did I see today that I I mean, I'm telling you, I saw that, and then I just went on this random tangent of like these random sports that people make up around the world, because I'm like, who who has the time to do this? When 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 like someone has to sit down and then think about the rules for this, and they're like, you know what? I want to arm wrestle you, but with my toes, right? Like that's I don't know. I think that's crazy. And yeah, I mean, okay. I guess we'll talk about the other thing. Some people are here to hear about. I guess we made a trade deal with China, lowering tariffs down to 30%, which is a lot more, which is more manageable than what it was before. But again, when I first saw this, right, that the tariffs are getting lowered down to 30, I was thinking to myself, but they were at 20% before, right? Because there was always that 20% that Trump did last time that's sticking around. And so they basically increased it by 10%. And so, and again, like I said, like we've been saying, the tariffs you pay when you import the goods from China. So it's still a tax on American businesses, right? Because they have to bring it in and 10% more. But I don't know. You guys know this. I know about this because I've done imports before. A lot of times, how do people get around this? It's very simple, to be honest. It's just when it was 140% before, it it wasn't. You can't do it as much because it looks very obvious. But usually, what you could do is because the tariffs are paid on the value of the items that you're importing in, right? And you think about it, the customs people, it's impossible for them to know the value of every single widget and thing that comes across, right? It's impossible. There's so many things. Like, how can they determine the value of, I don't know, let's say some pencils or whatever, right? If the pencils are normally $1 and you bring them in for 80 cents, they don't know the difference, right? So, like I said, the tariffs are paid on the value of your cargo. So, if it's $1 and the tariffs right now, let's just say right now, is 30%, you would pay an extra 30 cents per pencil that you bring in, right? In the past, what a lot of companies did was they would just lower the value of the pencil. That's just and then pay the Chinese company on the back end somewhere else. That's usually what was done in the past. If you don't know, so in the past, let's say you're importing in pencils from China, and the pencils, when you bought it from the factory, they told you that it's going to cost $1, and then they make the pencils. And let's just go with the dollar example because it's easiest. In the past, what you would do is when they put it onto the boat and they bring it over, they have to write basically like an invoice, something of that nature. It's for the customs people to know, what is the value of this cargo, so they can tax you for on the tariffs. It's always been that way. And what they've always done, if you're smart or savvy with the factory and you know them, what they would do is they would, even though you paid $1, let's just say $1 per pencil, they would put on the invoice that you paid maybe 70 cents, 60 cents per pencil or something of that nature. Even though you yourself paid $1. So then when it lands onto the port and you have to pay the tariffs, you pay tariffs on 60 cents a pencil, whatever, right? That's what a lot of people did before. And when Trump changed it to 140, it just looked very odd if you're trying to offset it that way. There's other ways to offset it, but that was one of the main ways, the easiest way to offset, without you having to do any of the like label washing and all that other jazz. So because for you to try to offset, let's say going back to the dollar pencil analogy, right? Um, for you to offset the 140, it was like you would literally be like, "Oh, I got these pencils for 5 cents each," and then like, but as I was saying earlier, it's impossible for these customs people to know the value of every single good that comes across. There's a gajillion different things, and maybe your pencils are different than the other pencils, right? So it's impossible. And then there's so many containers and shipments and stuff going through. They don't have time to double check anything. So that's literally what goes on. They'll double check some things, like it looked very odd to them, uh, but most of the time they don't, right? And so now that I'm saying, what I'm trying to get to is that now that the tariffs are at 30%, they can just go back to business as usual, and just because, like I was saying in my scenario before, with the pencils, let's say they're a dollar. And in the past, what they would do to go around tariffs is they would just say that, oh, the pencils were on sale, and you were able to negotiate a deal, and you got them for 60 cents a pencil, right? Even though you actually paid a dollar, and you'll make up that extra bit somewhere else down the road, you know, with the factory. It was for them to lower down to put on the invoice that they lowered it down, or you don't. That's just the way they do it to get around the tariffs, right? On your end. If you know them, they'll do that. And going down to 30%, it would, like I said, it would be just as business as usual. So for that dollar pencil, maybe in the past they used to say on the invoice that it was 70 cents. Maybe now they'll say it's 60 cents a pencil. And that 10% that he raised it up to just basically gets negated that way. So that's what I feel about that's how I feel about the tariffs getting lowered down to 30%. Um, it's gonna go back to business as usual. They'll just they'll just you know use the old ways to work around it. I don't know if you guys, yeah, because that's realistically that's what was done in the past a gajillion times. That was the easiest way to get around the tariffs before. Like you still paid something because if you paid nothing, that's really suspicious. But you still paid something, and then it would just be a lot less than before. So that's business as usual. So it seems like this whole trade war, we're in a way um, back to where we started before, just 10% up. But like I said, they'll just say that the price of the thing was a little bit less, and then oh, you know what? We're not in the position that we were back in before, because what's gonna happen is they're gonna do that method I just outlined before, and the companies will still raise the prices on the goods, even though if they were able to work that out with the factory, and like I said, if you're a decent sized customer, they can easily do that for you. Just they would just lower the invoice that they have on the shipping container for you, even though you paid them the real amount later, like beforehand. Because, like I said, these custom guys are not checking, like, oh, let me show me the wires and show me all the money that you sent this factory. Or and if you overpaid, you can always say like, oh, this is for a future. This is a down payment for a future order. I just lumped it together under one wire. So I feel like what's going to happen is the companies are going to import stuff. They on the factory side, they're going to change the invoices a little bit, and they are going to mess with the numbers, pay exactly the tariffs, be paid exactly how it was before. But on the consumer side, once they start selling the items, they're going to raise the prices by that 10% or so, and then justify it by saying that, hey, the tariffs went up, so you guys got to pay a little bit more for these pencils. you know so I am guarantee you that's what's going to happen, because not a lot of people know all these tricks that go on the back end when it comes to getting these containers across, and how a lot of these companies mess around with these little loopholes, right? Right. I mean that's literally what's gonna happen. I guarantee you, they're gonna at 30%, they're just gonna go back to business as usual, make the same amount of money basically, and then charge you, the consumer, a little bit more, and just say that it was the tariffs that caused it. That is what I feel about the tariff. So, and the other thing I really don't like is uh I I wonder how many people know that this is what's going to happen, right? But the stock market reacts like this is all brand new and all gravy gravy. Which one thing that's good is that the market rebounded to the point where I think they said somewhere that it's exactly where it was before Liberation Day. So in a way that we're in the exact position that we are in before. Like literally, it, this trade war, seeing that it's back down to 30%. Um, and that was out. If you were listening to earlier, means that business is going to go back to usual. The trade war actually accomplished absolutely nothing. Then it, the only thing I feel like because if the stock market rebounded to exactly where it was, and the tariffs are now at 30%, which is only 10% more than what it was before with China, and they can easily mask that by doing some invoice manipulation. That's 10% is not that big of a difference. We're in a way in the exact same spot that we were before, except um, the world trusts America a little bit less. And going forward, I'm guaranteeing you, China has been trying to do this for a very long time. They've been trying to find other customers outside of America. They just haven't been doing it very well, or they had a plan. Uh, it's just that it was a long term plan to try to get other things done, and kind of in a way, Trump kind of forced them to accelerate their plans. So down the road, they've been working on this for a very very long time. I think the issue is that America has not been working on this for a very very long time, trying to bring back manufacturing into the United States. It is a multi-year process to do that. Like, I think that was the thing that when I first saw this whole trade deal thing go down, like this whole trade war go down, I was thinking to myself, like, yeah, that's great, but it's a multi-year process. You cannot like shut down everything and then think that it's gonna come up all of a sudden. Impossible. Impossible. So I don't know. That's what I feel about how this trade war is going. We're in the exact same position that we were in before, but maybe actually a little bit worse. Who knows? One thing is completely real, and I've said it in multiple videos before. China needed to get something done. Um, so I wonder, because they were, I think, to be honest, I think they were in worse shape than we were. And so I don't know, did we really needed to make the deal as badly as they did? Because their whole economy is dependent on us, the American consumer, buying stuff. And as if we kept on going, I felt like people were going to start cutting back and not buying as much stuff, and they would have gotten hurt more because this is real. Because I've talked to a lot of people. This is real. A lot of factories did shut down over there, and they were hurting, and they were starting to get protesters because people weren't getting paid for work that they've already done. So that's something that I wonder. Maybe we'll never find out if we stayed the course. What would have happened? because I know for a fact, and I've said it a gajillion times, China needed to make a deal. They needed to do something. They were in worse shape. I felt like they were in worse shape than we were because for them, people were losing jobs, and future was looking bleak. On our side, it was more of we weren't gonna have stuff, right? And it's kind of like, do you really need the stuff, uh, right? So I don't know. I felt like we could have lasted longer than they could have because I've outlined this before. They overgrew their companies too quickly, and they just lost their biggest customer, and then now they have no one else to sell to because no one else buys as much stuff as we do in America. So I don't know. I feel like we could have totally held on longer, but we'll see where this goes. At 30% tariffs, business it's basically business as usual. We'll see where it goes. All right. I think that's basically it for today. Thank you for spending your time with me.